Hey there, and welcome back to Module 1's lectures. This is Lecture 1.2, where we'll be continuing to build on what we started in our last video. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of theoretical models in psychology. But before we get there, let's do a quick recap of Lecture 1.1. We talked about how psychologists use models to simplify and understand complex phenomena. Remember the phrase, all models are wrong, but some are useful. That's really the heart of it. Our models don't have to be perfect, just effective for explaining and predicting behavior. So when we say, all models are wrong, but some are useful, what do we mean? A, we should stop trying to understand reality. B, models are unhelpful, so we should only trust our senses. C, models may be imperfect, but sometimes they can help us understand the world. Or D, supermodels may not know much, but they can still be useful. The answer is C. All models may be imperfect, but some of them can still help us to understand the world. Let's do another question. According to the American Psychological Society, or the APA, which of the ABCs of psychology refers to thoughts? A, affect, B, behavior, C, cognition, or D, culture? That's right, the answer is C, cognition. Psychology is a science that studies affect, behavior, and cognition, the ABCs. Today, we'll start out with an example, and then we'll dive into the four major theoretical models of psychology: evolutionary, behavior, sociocultural, and cognitive. But first, let's warm up with a few questions. First question, are you from Colorado or are you from out of state? Now, for this example, I'll be showing some data based on typical statistics for the University of Colorado Boulder, which is where I teach. Usually, just about under 60% of students are from Colorado. Next question, are Crocs fashionable? You can either strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. Here we see a bit of a spread. It looks like more people disagree than agree. Next question, do you own a pair of Crocs? Well, it looks like people may disagree that they were fashionable, but also a bunch of people still own them. But let's take a bit of a deeper look into this data to see if we can see any trends based on whether students from Colorado or outside of the state feel differently. Here, the light blue bars represent students from Colorado, whereas the dark blue bars represent students from out of state. When we look at the differences by state, it looks like more people from out of state own Crocs than those who are from Colorado. Does this impact whether people think Crocs are fashionable, though? Here, with the same color scheme, we can see that more people in Colorado thinks that Crocs are unfashionable, but more people from out of state thinks that Crocs are fashionable. By looking a bit more deeply into this data, we've identified some new patterns that we couldn't see before. Is all of this psychology? It actually is. These questions really tap into the ABCs of psychology. They look at our beliefs, our cognitions, our behaviors, what shoes we buy, our emotions, how we feel about them. By asking structured and empirical questions, we're gathering data to understand human behavior. And this is psychology in action. As psychologists, we're always searching for big picture ways to explain broad patterns of human behavior. Let's take a look at how our Crocs example can fit into the four major theoretical models when it comes to understanding psychology. We're going to be looking at the evolutionary approach, the behavioral model, a sociocultural approach, and a cognitive model. Our first approach is the evolutionary model. An evolutionary approach to psychology examines how the human mind and behavior have been shaped by natural selection to solve problems faced by our ancestors and their environments. It's based on the idea that as organisms reproduce, the heritable material that dictates who we are, it's our genes and our DNA, sometimes is reproduced incorrectly, leading to mutations. Once in a while, a mutation occurs that may provide an organism with an advantage in their environment, improving their reproductive fitness. When this happens, these organisms experience an advantage over others and are more likely to pass these mutations on to their offspring, leading to slow changes over time that help improve an organism's adaptation to their environment. To look at psychology through an evolutionary model, we have to think that thoughts and behaviors could be similarly heritable, just like physical attributes. Like physical traits, like opposable thumbs or sharp teeth, Our thoughts and behaviors have evolved to enhance our survival and reproduction. So too did psychological traits like fear responses, social bonding, and decision making. For instance, consider a fear of snakes or of heights. These fears likely provided a survival advantage to early humans, helping them to avoid dangerous situations. Similarly, human emotions like love or jealousy may have evolved to strengthen social bonds and ensure reproductive success, which were critical in small and interdependent communities that humans evolved in. These traits improve a species' ability to survive, increasing their fitness in their environment. They also can help enhance an organism's ability to reproduce, another type of fitness. Now, an evolutionary approach emphasizes the adaptive functions of behaviors and mental processes. It seeks to explain not just what we do, but why we do it, by tracing the origins of psychological traits to the challenges of our ancestral environment. Critics of this approach argue that it can lead to speculative conclusions about why behaviors exist, but its insights still remain invaluable. By understanding psychology through the lens of evolution, we gain a deeper appreciation for how ancient pressures continue to shape the human mind today. So, how could we model whether Crocs are fashionable through an evolutionary lens? We might say that having an affinity for Crocs in some way provides an advantage to people. Perhaps Crocs offer better traction when walking, so that people who wear Crocs are less likely to trip and fall down. So that's why they continue to remain in fashion. Let's take a look at another model. The behavioral approach, or the learning approach to psychology, focuses on the observable actions of individuals and how these actions are shaped by environmental factors. It emphasizes the importance of learning and conditioning. Pioneers like Ivan Pavlov, John Watson, and B.F. Skinner laid the groundwork for understanding behavior through experiments that demonstrated the power of stimuli and reinforcement. Behaviorists like B.F. Skinner argued that most of what we do is driven by seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. Early behaviorists even went so far to say that conscious thought played no role in understanding human behavior, that everything was based on whether behaviors were being rewarded or punished, how they were being reinforced. We gain pleasure from behaviors that are adaptive, fulfilling our needs, and we experience pain when we act in ways that are detrimental to our own well-being. Our behaviors are built by our experiences, though we've also recognized that some organisms can learn through observation. Now, how would this apply to our Crocs example? A behaviorist might say that you were randomly walking around until suddenly you put your feet into a pair of Crocs and felt pleasure by how comfortable they were. You continued wearing them because they provided you with that pleasure and continued to reinforce the behavior because they helped you to navigate your world. So through this lens, Crocs would be fashionable because they provide some sort of incentive or reward. Let's do an attention check. Which model focuses on how our behaviors are reinforced or punished? A, the evolutionary model, B, behavioral, C, cognitive, or D, sociocultural? The correct answer is B, the behavioral model. Let's take a look at another model. The sociocultural model of psychology emphasizes the role of social interactions, cultural influences, and environmental factors in shaping human thought, emotion, and behavior. Unlike approaches that focus on the individual in isolation, the sociocultural model views humans as deeply embedded in a network of relationships and cultural norms that influence every aspect of their psychology. Key to this model is the idea that behavior and cognition are not universal, but that they vary depending on cultural and societal contexts. For example, how people express emotions, solve problems, or even define success can differ widely between cultures. This model highlights the importance of learning through social interaction, particularly in early development. Lev Vygotsky's concept of the zones of proximal development illustrates how skills and knowledge emerge through collaboration and guidance from more experienced individuals. The sociocultural model also considers how societal structures, like socioeconomic status, access to education, and cultural customs, affect psychological outcomes by creating group norms that guide our behavior. The norms help guide people to know what is right or wrong, what is attractive or repulsive, or what behavior is appropriate for men and women in society. How would this apply to our Crocs example? Well, through the sociocultural model, Crocs are either fashionable or not, depending on local customs that help influence our opinions about Crocs. Perhaps we're part of a culture where Crocs are a status symbol. Or maybe our culture puts an emphasis on comfort in a way that makes Crocs desirable. In this example, we'd form our opinion about Crocs based on group norms, which are reinforced by our culture and our social groups. Let's take a look at the last model, the cognitive model. The cognitive model of psychology focuses on the ways that humans perceive, think, and process information. It emphasizes the role of internal mental processes, such as attention, memory, language, problem solving, in shaping our emotions and our behavior. At its core, the cognitive model asserts that our thoughts and interpretations of events, rather than the events themselves, influence our feelings and actions. For example, two individuals might experience the very same situation, such as receiving critical feedback, but they might interpret it very differently. One might view it as an opportunity for growth, leading to motivation, while another person might see it as a personal failure, which results in their own discouragement. This model sees human behavior through the lens of our cognitions, our beliefs, attitudes, expectations, goals, and memories. Developed through the work of theorists like Aaron Beck and Albert Ellis, the cognitive model has wide implications, particularly in therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It aims to help individuals identify and restructure negative thought patterns, fostering healthier behaviors and emotional resilience. This model underscores the profound impact of thought processes on the human experience. Now, applying this model to our Crocs example, we decide whether Crocs are fashionable or not based on our thoughts and beliefs. Maybe you think that you look good in Crocs, or perhaps you think that Crocs are ugly and you don't understand why anyone would wear them. Or maybe you have really positive childhood memories that are associated with wearing Crocs, and they impact how you see them today. The cognitive model looks at these decisions based on the thoughts in your head, not necessarily how those thoughts are reinforced or what other people are doing. Let's do another attention check. Which model explains behavior through cultural norms? The evolutionary model, the behavioral model, the cognitive model, or the sociocultural model? The correct answer is D, sociocultural. Psychology gives us these models to understand different aspects of human behavior, from instincts to thoughts to cultural rituals. Using our Crocs example, you might have noticed how these models overlap. They each provide unique insights, but they also complement one another depending on the question that we're asking. As we move forward in this course, keep asking yourselves, which of these models is most useful for explaining what I'm interested in? Where do these models fall short? Let's do a review question. A student uses AI to assist them with their homework because their classmates are all using it. This can be explained through which model? Evolutionary, behavioral, sociocultural, or cognitive? The correct answer here is C. This would be an example of social and cultural attitudes impacting a person's behavior. Let's look at another one. A student uses generative AI because she does not think she can complete the assignment without it. This can be explained through which model? Evolutionary, behavioral, sociocultural, or cognitive? This statement is looking at the student's behavior as a function of their beliefs. So this would be an example of D, the cognitive model. In our next lecture, we'll dive into strategies for effective learning, giving you a few tools to succeed in this class and beyond. Until then, stay curious, stay resilient, and above all, live life in flux. See you next time. Lux out.